It's me. Welcome to the Nights of Lucky podcast. Number 7, I think. Or it's 8. Or maybe even 9. 10? 11 is reaching. Okay, we gotta stop there. Anywho, this is my podcast that I run by myself in my basement. That's my laugh. No, I'm joking. But no, this is me running my podcast, and we're gonna talk about a little bit of stuff today. Stuff! So much stuff. I got a COVID shot, and I'm feeling fine. I have not turned into a mutant fish monster yet, so that's a good thing. That's hilarious. Oh boy. Mutant fish monster. You know? Like the most mutant fish monster ever made. I don't know. I'm losing track. Focus! But no, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling gooch. The Gucci, as they say. So I'm feeling fine. I haven't, really had any side effects, just besides the sore arms, all. So, doing good. So I'm fine. So yeah. I know a lot of people are kind of skeptical and want to kind of wait to see how the shot does for people, which is totally understandable, but the people saying that it's gonna rewrite your DNA, or you're gonna go grow forearms, or sprout wings, or get zapped into some different dimension, it's calm down, okay? Please sit down before you kill us all with your sheer stupidity. There's a, regarding a lot of the nutcases. This pandemic has taught me one thing. This isn't everyone, so don't worry about it. This isn't all of humanity. But the thing that I've learned from this pandemic is the depth of human stupidity is truly staggering. It really is. The amount of nonsense and stuff I have heard is absolutely insane. The people I've heard and seen, the stuff they've said is just, it's good Lord. It's almost I'm I feel like I need to pray for him, because it's man, that is not, oy. It's just so stupid it hurts. It's did you just say that, or am I having, I don't know, am I hearing things? Because it's just crazy. It really is. It's just nuts, the stuff people have said. But also how people have completely thrown facts out the window, they've picked them up, crumpled them into a ball, and thrown them out the... logic has left the building, basically. That's the thing that scares me, is not necessarily about this pandemic, but not just the next pandemic, but the next problem, in the world. Because when you think about it, it's based on the stuff that these people have said, and how they're it's kind of crazy, considering the fact that for the past decade, all anybody has ever been asking for are facts. And then when, facts start popping up, during this pandemic, it's like that whole, request for facts just goes out the window. Like, a lot of people are talking about the mainstream media, which I think, to be fair, is, accurate. They do put out a lot of nonsense and propaganda. Whichever one you're watching, they always got a lot of propaganda. That's my stomach, by the way. Propaganda going and whatnot. But to act like they haven't, logically speaking, probability-wise, the mainstream media has to have said at least something that's true. A couple things that are true during this pandemic. Like, to act like they haven't said a single thing is maybe a bit ridiculous and probably statistically improbable. But you get the point. But that's the thing, is like, let me get my pillow. But that's the thing, is it's just kind of crazy how people have just completely abandoned all logic, facts, reason, critical thinking. And they've kind of gone off the deep end. Good Lord, man. Alright, sorry about that. I had to grab my pillow. Okay, but yeah, it's just like they've lost all reason, thought, logic, any of that stuff. It's just gone. It's fucking lost, man. Trucking lost, I meant. Oh, boy. But no, it's just nuts. But they have... I find it just baffling that these people, these conspiracy theorists, have essentially, basically, for some, I don't get how in any rational universe this is, like, a good idea. It's like, they're like, all those scientists, experts, doctors, geniuses, people who study this stuff, who are fighting it, who are in the lab, sequencing the virus's DNA and proteins and blah, that stuff. It's like, let's not listen to them. Let's listen to some Karen, on Facebook over here. Yeah, sure, some lady who's a kidney doctor knows how vaccines work, apparently. 'Cause that's, that's apparently a thing. It's like, are you serious? Are you serious? You're gonna believe that nonsense over, science, doctors, experts in this field, like organizations that study and combat these things? You're gonna, ignore that? Like, some people just, they don't care. Which, I mean, you have the right to not care if you don't want to. I don't exactly recommend it. But, But that's the thing, is like, they really don't give two flying craps, But it's just insane how they completely forget all of this, logic and facts and stuff. It's just like, it doesn't matter to them, It's crazy. I just don't understand it. Some people, the reason why is because they're just tired of this pandemic. And they're sick of hearing, yeah, there's a pandemic, it sucks. Which, I get it. I get getting sick of the same thing over and over again. But, this is kind of how it is. I mean, to be fair, like I said, the mainstream media, they do repeat the same thing and fearmonger to a certain degree. But, this is just how it's going to be. I mean, unfortunately. The world's just going to be real crappy for a while. But a lot of people, get turned off by that because they're just sick and tired of this pandemic and whatnot, and they can't take it anymore. So they're like, screw all the rules. Who gives a crap? Who gives a crap about, taking one for the team, saving lives, pitching in, I can't, do this thing or do that thing. Like, don't get me wrong, there are people who are depressed, who are really screwed up because of this, because they're staying inside, but, like, just because, you eventually get sick of it all, it doesn't mean you have the right to just say screw it and forget all the rules and precautions and whatnot, because the world revolves around you. I cannot speak. Like, the past 3 days, like, I cannot speak at all. Like, for some reason, I just cannot say a dang word correctly. But, that's the thing. It's just, like, some people are selfish, which, like I said, I'm not trying to, like, this isn't trying to be, like, some hit piece against those people. But it's, like, like, you have to understand, like, this is going to be this way for a bit. But just because, you get sick of something, it doesn't mean, you just get to say screw it and screw everybody else over for your selfish needs. We're all suffering together, That's one thing everybody has to remember, is we're all suffering together. But, But then, then you have the conspiracy theorists that come about this stuff, where it's literally absolute insanity. Like, I follow a lot of this because I find it hilarious, but also, like, it's really something you need to follow, I would say. Like, if, like, I really do recommend that it's something you really should at least kind of follow, listen, keep your ear to the ground, research a bit, read. Obviously don't believe literally everything you hear. Especially, like, conspiracy. Like, if stuff sounds like BS, it probably is. But it could be true. Just basically read everything, but don't take it as fact. Because I see so many idiots that will read one thing online, somewhere online, they'll take it as fact, they'll go to social media, post it, and they'll spread that misinformation and nonsense to everyone. And I come upon it, and I'm like, yeah, this is not true. But I'm going to fact check before I think anything, before I believe or not believe stuff. See, I can't speak. And it turns out, yeah, that's nonsense. They literally are too lazy or stupid to even fact check one little thing. And conspiracies are going wild, and misinformation's going around, and it's kind of causing a lot of economic and, damage against people's lives of sorts. Like, one of the reasons why I took this vaccine was because, I'm not exactly the healthiest person, through no fault of my own. I was born with, this chronic disease and whatnot, chronic pancreatitis. I have pain quite a bit, almost every day. It's just, in general, not fun. And, I got other stuff too, other little problems and whatnot with me. So I'm not exactly the healthiest guy, so I took this shot because I was like, the risks of not getting it far outweigh the risks of getting it. I trust vaccines, I trust the experts and doctors. But one of the reasons why I got it is because apparently when you get COVID, you sometimes, what a lot of people die from and why they need ventilators is because they get pneumonia. Pneumonia being fluid in your lungs. And I don't know if I told anyone this, but a week before my 15th birthday, I started to feel sick. I feel like I've probably mentioned it a couple times on the channel, but a week before my 15th birthday, it almost literally exactly 6 years ago. Yeah. I would be in the hospital sick with pneumonia 6 years ago. when I was 15. Or when I was about to be 15. I was 14 at the time. Right now, so literally like, late end of March, exactly like these couple days, I was in the hospital 6 years ago. So I started to feel sick one night, and I woke up, the next couple days, I thought like I had like the flu or a head cold. And eventually it just got to the point where I was like, I gotta go to the hospital, man. So I went to the ER, and it's like, can you check me for the flu or something? Because like, I felt horrible. So my mom took me to the ER. I'm just, they're doing tests and whatnot. They take a flu test and whatnot. They let me rest, and then they come back, and I'm like, all right, did I get the flu? And the nurse looks at me, and she's like, no, like, you don't have the flu at all. Then me and my mom both looked at each other, and we were like, just something about this did not feel right, even remotely. So I was like, okay, if I don't have the flu or the cold or any of that stuff, I'm clearly sick with something. And it's getting worse and worse every day. So I was like, I need to get into the hospital. So they admitted me and watched over me. This was on a Friday, I think I got admitted. Then I went through that. They admitted me, kind of gave me fluids, watched over me, that kind of stuff. Then the next day is when, the next night, that was when the really hit the fan. And it didn't just hit the fan got gunked up, blew up, crap was flying everywhere, fan parts were getting stuck in the wall. I mean, it was a mess. This is, by the way, one of the worst things I've ever been through. This night particularly, this was so bad, it is kind of, I don't have like PTSD or anything, but it was very traumatizing. Like, I have trauma because of this to a degree. But I'll get into the story, and this is, how I remember it. This is true, It's, I fucking wish it was not true. But, yeah, it sucked. So the next night, I remember, it was about, like, 9 p.m., probably. I was just dead tired. I remember feeling, like, abnormally tired. Just really tired. Like, some of the most tired I'd ever felt. And I shut my phone off, and I just went to bed. And just as I went to bed, the nurse came in. This was about, like I said, like, 9 p.m. or so. Nurse came in, started looking at my toes, my fingers, and my lips. I didn't think too much of it, because I figured it was like, she's just checking on me and whatnot. Then another nurse came in, then a couple more, then a whole bunch of nurses, and then doctors, and everyone from the hospital were pouring in. At this moment, I was sort of like in a weird, like, half-conscious state, where I could see, hear, open my eyes, talk, but I was really sluggish, and, like, kind of worn out, real, like, tired, sluggish, just not great. But I was also, like, not totally there, like, mentally. I was, like, a little in this kind of, like, haze, a fog, and whatnot. So I literally, this is a quote, like, I was like, all right, I'm gonna close my eyes and rest while you do all your work and whatnot. Like, I literally was like, I'm just gonna close my eyes and just rest while you all look at me. And at the time, I had no idea what was going on. But why the nurse and everybody was in there was because that's my dog barking, by the way. No, the nurse came in because, those, like, little, like, clamp things they put on your finger that, like, measures your oxygen level? Well, the nurse came in because mine was really low. And when she came in, she looked at my fingers, my toes, and my lips because she was looking for hypoxia. And she found it. I was hypoxic. Now, for those of you who don't know what that is bad. That's very bad, because that means your body is deprived of oxygen. And guess what happened? I went into acute respiratory failure. I was dying. I didn't know it at the time, but I was dying. This is the closest I have ever come to dying. Like, I've had multiple times where I've gotten sick from stuff over the years where I almost died, but this was by far the closest. So I was literally going into respiratory failure. My lungs were failing. So they were like, this kid is literally dying. We need to get this kid to the ICU now. So they were trying to like wake me up and keep me conscious and whatnot, to wake me up out of that little unconscious state, you know. Try and, you know, get a blood sample, put a new IV in, get me to do these breathing exercises to keep me breathing and get oxygen. To put oxygen on me, get me in the ICU. I mean, they were literally like, yeah, he's gonna die, like, probably in a couple minutes if we don't fix him. So, you know, they were literally fighting to, you know, keep me alive. And I remember, you know, when you're like, often people in near-death experiences, they kind of see and hear stuff, and they kind of get into a weird state. For me, I didn't see anything, but I heard my own voice in my head. I'm not talking about just, you know, you hearing, like when you're reading a book, you kind of hear your voice in your head. No, it literally was like my own voice was whispering into my ears, like I could literally hear it. And I was saying stuff like, just go to bed. Tomorrow morning you'll feel all better. You're just real sick. Get some rest, and tomorrow morning you'll feel even better. Stuff like that. While I was, like, dying. Because, like, this was probably my brain basically telling me, like, yeah, you're kicking the bucket. But, and the next thing I heard was one of the saddest things I've ever heard. I know it for exactly how it was, quote for quote. And for a little context, at this point in time, my pancreatitis had been just destroying me for like 2 years at this point. Like, I was sick, admitted and into the hospital for pancreatic flare-ups at least once a month, 1 to 2 times a month on average, every single month for years. I was real bad, like really, really, really sick. And I was in the hospital like multiple times a month, admitted for this stuff. So I was miserable. I was in unbelievable pain at this point. So these were the worst years of my life. So I was like, life is terrible for me. Thankfully, things have gotten better, obviously, but you know, back then, at that time, my life was, that was like at my lowest point, you know. I was so sick and in so much pain. So, that's a little context. And the last thing I heard my own voice say, this was when my my body was like, they told me, like, yeah, you're dying. And this is the exact quote. It's one of the saddest things I've ever heard. Lucky, you have been through so much pain and suffering in your life, but you don't have to anymore. All you have to do is to go to sleep and it'll all be over. All you have to do is let go. And that's when I was like, oh, crap. Because that's when I realized, like, oh, this is why everything's going on, why everybody's here. Oh, crap. So at that moment, I was given the choice, like, hey, you can literally just go to sleep. You'll never have to feel any pain ever again. Die. Or you can, you know, live and roll the dice and have, you know, kind of a rough life. So, clearly I chose to live, but, you know, it was rough. And eventually, after like about, I think it was an hour and 30 minutes to like 2 hours, they'd finally stabilized me. It was around like 11:30 when this happened. But they finally stabilized me, and, you know, I lived. But for, like, I was in the ICU for, like, half a week. Then, you know, they moved me back into a normal room. And I was there for about, in total, at least 7 days. Sick with pneumonia. I could barely walk. I mean, I literally barely could walk. Like, you imagine how, like, an old person walks with a cane? Like, I was walking that fast. Like, because my body was so destroyed by the pneumonia. Like, because I had double pneumonia. That's why it was especially bad, was because double pneumonia is pneumonia in both lungs. And they showed me the x-ray, and it was just full of white, which is fluid in x-rays. Fluid comes up as white. So there was, like, the reason why I couldn't really do much is because, obviously, like, all that room where the fluid is where air is supposed to be. So you can't, like, get enough oxygen, so you can't do as much. But I was sick as hell. Like, I remember I would hold to go to the bathroom as long as possible, because every time I would stand up, the air would get sucked out of my lungs. I was on oxygen, by the way, in the ICU. Like, it would just get sucked out of my lungs. It was like breathing through a straw, or somebody put a plastic bag around your head. Like, I couldn't get anything. It would just get sucked out. So I couldn't breathe. And mind you, like, the bathroom is literally like, you know, like 7 feet away. Like, it's barely anywhere. But, you know, for like the next, you know, half week or so, you know, 5 days I think about, because it had been about 2 days. So yeah, it was about 5 more days. I was just sick as hell in the hospital. But eventually I got out, but it took a couple more weeks for me to finally kick it. But, you know, to get back to normal, so. But that's the reason why, you know, I got this, is like, I know what pneumonia is like, and I cannot imagine what it's like with this virus. It's bad enough on its own, so, like, you know. So it's like, yeah, all these people saying, like, yeah, I ain't scared. It's like, nah. It's like, yeah, if you get pneumonia, you will be scared. Trust me. Coming from someone who has almost died from this, you can say you're not all afraid as much as you want. When you're dying in the hospital bed, you can't breathe, and you're hearing your own voice in your head, you'll be scared. I couldn't have even told my mom, that was standing right next to me when this was happening, that, you know, I love you. I would have died right then and there without saying anything, without knowing I was going to die. I literally couldn't say I love you, because I was so out of it, you know? Later I did, obviously, but, you know, I really couldn't. So, like, trust me, you will be afraid. Everybody gets afraid eventually. It just takes a while, trust me. I learned it the hard way. So, yeah, you're going to be afraid, don't worry. You will eventually. I promise you that. But, you know, that's how I got pneumonia, and that's the closest I ever came to dying. That's depressing. But it's a story I feel needs told, you know? Because this is why, like, I'm so pro-vaccine on a lot of stuff, and I'm very, like, I'm always, like, speaking out against misinformation and nonsense perpetrated by anti-vaxxers, is because, like, you literally get people sick, and you have literally killed people. Like, that's the thing, is, like, first of all, it's like, you're letting your children get sick, and they're sick as hell, and they're getting sick. Some of them die. It's like, what is wrong with you? They're your children. I get you know what you're doing. Like, you know what you think what you're doing is the best. But objectively, factually, it ain't. But you're allowing your children to get sick, and they're sick as hell. And a lot die. Like, it's not like an isolated couple incidents. Like, this happens all the time everywhere. Last year, some 4-year-old kid died from the flu because his mom was brainwashed by anti-vaxxers. That's the thing. A lot of these anti-vaxxers, it's not really their fault. They get manipulated and brainwashed into this nonsense by other anti-vaxxers. Like, one of the most horrible things is, like, often stories, you'll hear, because these anti-vaxxers are like predators almost. They prey on vulnerable people. Like, it's been said multiple times that there are stories, and I've read some of these, where like a mom or a dad or parents, their kid will die, unfortunately. Then some anti-vaxxers will come and be like, oh, I'm so sorry, I feel bad for you. Then what they'll do is they'll start preying on them. They'll be like, did your child just so happen to get a vaccine or any other medicine or stuff like this lately? And the parent will be like, yeah, why? And that's when they start brainwashing him. And that's how they get their way in the front door, is they absolutely, horrifically, and disgustingly prey on innocent, vulnerable people that are grieving. It's like, you are a scumbag if you do that. If you prey on someone to bring them into your fold as some, anti-vaxxer because you want to push your agenda and nonsense on everyone, if you go after a grieving parent, you are a piece of you-know-what. You are a scumbag. You're absolutely pathetic, and I just, may God have mercy on your soul. You're a horrible human being if you do that. But they do that type of stuff. And these anti-vaxxers are getting themselves killed, their children killed, friends killed, and just other people, innocent people out in public in the world killed. Because they don't get the vaccine, they get sick with this stuff, they and their family spreads it to other people, and other people get sick and die. Like, their children get sick and die. It's like, these people are like, they don't listen to facts, logic, anything. It's nonsense. They just listen to Facebook, because Facebook, apparently, is factually correct with everything they say, Yeah, the moon's made of cheese. Lizard people run the world. But no, it's like, I know some of these people, obviously, I feel bad for them, because, like, yeah, their children have been affected by, vaccines. Like, they have had these bad reactions. But what they don't point out, and they often lie about and twist the facts, is that these bad reactions to vaccines are unbelievably rare. Fact check me on this, but if I remember correctly, statistically speaking, it's like for every 1 million vaccines that are given, 1 or 2 people will get some bad reaction to it. That's like, I think, under 1%. Like, that's an incredibly low chance, So, but they ignore that and they twist that. It's like, oh no, those aren't the real numbers. It's like, okay, Karen, yeah, what are the real numbers, huh? Like 1 billion? Everybody's dropping dead from this crap? Why haven't I dropped dead from this stuff if vaccines are pure evil? If they kill everybody. It's like, why did I not die when I got the flu vaccine last year? The year before that? The year before that? Why? Oh, what are you going to come up with some excuse? Well, it's the winter solstice and whatnot, and the sun is... Just shut up. Good God. Like, the stuff you have done to your children is just absolutely unbelievable. Some of the worst stories of children that weren't vaccinated by their anti-vax parents have gone completely wrong. 2 of the worst stories I've ever heard is one, this mom, she came into the hospital holding her son in her arms who went limp and whatnot, because I can't remember what he got, but his mom didn't vaccinate him, and he got sick with the virus. Not COVID, something else. And it's horrifying, by the way. Skip this part, skip ahead a bit if you don't want to listen to this. This kid's arms and legs, all of his arms and legs turned black and necrotic. Necrotic meaning death of tissue. Like his, you know when you see like pictures of people who got frostbite and their fingers are like all like this dark purplish blue black color? Oh, it's my phone, sorry. That's what it is. It's necrosis. It's death of tissue. That's what it was like. This kid's limbs were just literally rotting away. And he was literally bleeding out of every hole in his body. His eyes, his nose, his ears, mouth. The kid was dead, by the way. He died, unfortunately. All because his mom didn't vaccinate him. I mean, I'm not blaming anyone but anti-vax, the people, because I assume that she accidentally, obviously got brainwashed into this, but it's just a tragic death. Another one was where this mom brought her daughter in to the doctor, and the doctor was like, okay, we're gonna give her a tetanus shot. I'm pretty sure it was tetanus, if I remember correctly, and the mom was like, I don't know, I don't want it, because she was an anti-vaxxer. And, you know, the doctor was trying tooth and nail to get her the vaccine in any way possible. Eventually, the mom was like, I'm done. And she took her child and left. And the doctor was like, dang it. But they tried absolutely their best. But then they went, so they forgot about it, you know. And they came back a couple weeks later. And sure enough, the daughter had tetanus. But problem was, it had already really got to her. And similar with the previous story, all of her limbs were turning necrotic. They were dying and rotting away. And they had to amputate all of her limbs, both of her arms and legs. And now she has to live the rest of her life with the mental pain of losing her arms and legs, but also the, you know, obvious challenge of it, the difficulty of going around living your life with that. But even worse, she has to know that the one person she thought she could trust in this world, her mom, was the cause of that. She is what cost her her arms and legs. She lived, but she lost all of her arms and legs, unfortunately. And it's stories like those, true stories, where it's like, that is the reason why you vaccinate. Because you will get sick and it will kill you. Plain and simple. Your stupid magical healing rocks, your essential oils, your rubbing a potato on your forehead. That's not a joke. That's seriously something they do. None of that is going to work, okay? I'm sorry. It's just scientific bullcrap. You know, it's pseudoscience. It's not actual science. It's just nonsense. But they don't care. They just want to keep getting people sick and killing people. So that's why you get vaccines. You know, I understand you should, you know, like I understand people being a bit hesitant for taking the new one. You obviously do what you want, but I would, you know, encourage eventually you should probably take it. But choice is yours. But based on my experiences, you should vaccinate yourself. By the way, I'm not a doctor, so talk to your doctor, obviously. Disclaimer. I'm not a doctor or an expert, but, you know. But yeah, let's move on to something less depressing, you know. So, some real cool news in the comic book world is the one and only Pierce Brosnan, James Bond himself, has been cast as Dr. Fate in Dwayne Johnson's Black Adam. He's literally gonna be Dr. Fate. That is the best casting you could ever get. That is some absolute, just perfect casting. That's incredible. That's absolutely incredible. Dude, that is insane. Somebody did some fan art I'm looking at of Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate, and it's so good. Oh my gosh, that is amazing. That is so good, dude. Oh, that is beautiful. But really, that is incredible casting. Obviously, he played famously, James Bond. He's one of my favorites. And GoldenEye, and many others. So that is perfect casting. That's incredible. So I am extremely excited by that. That is awesome. That is some of the best casting you're gonna get, man. Oh my gosh, that's incredible. That is so good. That is incredible, man. That is just beautiful, incredible. Oh, that's so good. That really is genuinely great. It's awesome. So, that's good. Dr. Fate obviously is, he's a fantastic character. He's this sort of, he's kind of like Doctor Strange of sorts and whatnot, but for DC, he's this kind of magic guy. It's sort of a role. It's where this helmet, basically is passed on to person and whatnot, and they become, the next Dr. Fate. So, it's really interesting. It's really good casting. It's incredible. It's just beautiful. Beautiful. It's so good, man. It's so good. So, it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. It really is great, man. It's fantastic. Okay, let's see. So, Sebastian Stan, he's recently commented, about if he wanted to play, Luke Skywalker in a Star Wars project, which he would be perfect for. He looks exactly like a young Mark Hamill, Plus, he's a great actor. He can physically do a lot of it, he'd be great as it. And he said, I quote, that if Mark Hamill calls me personally to tell me that if he feels inclined to share his role with me, then I'll believe it. Until then, I won't believe it. But I assume that, obviously, if he did, get offered, I bet he would. I mean, who would not want to play Luke Skywalker and the Winter Soldier? I mean, come on! That is such a killer, that would be so good. Marvel and Star Wars. So, that's awesome, honestly. That's really cool. But, that's honestly awesome. So. But, yeah, I mean, that's incredible, though, casting-wise. So that's cool. Interesting. Yeah, so that's neat. Trying to look up any other. Oh yeah, there was another thing I wanted to talk about. Other news. Basically, Warner Brothers has come out and said that yeah, we're not going to be continuing the Snyderverse after the success of the Snyder Cut, which I have not seen yet, but I heard is very good, and I'm trying to figure out a time to watch it because it looks great. But yeah, it's flippin' awesome from what I've heard. But it really does suck though that they're gonna not continue that anymore. Personally, I'm holding out hope, considering the Restore the Snyderverse hashtag has been absolutely huge, and this film has been absolutely huge. I mean, next to Falcon and the Winter Soldier, it's like the most talked thing in the world, you know. It's the talk of the town, as they say. So, you know, it's genuinely great, honestly, from what I've heard. So it sucks that they, air quotes, won't be continuing it. Personally, I hold out hope because, I mean, when you look at it, it's just Warner Brothers. I think above them, they have, like, Warner Media and AT&T. So that's, like, two people above them. So it's like Warner Brothers isn't really the boss in this point, or in this situation, you know. They're honestly, you know, the employees, if that makes sense. You know, they have bosses above them. So if this does succeed, which it really does seem like it is, really does seem like it has, I wouldn't be surprised if, like, the, you know, Warner Media and, you know, AT&T are like, people want this, made a lot of money, it's successful, we're continuing it. Screw you. I have a feeling that's probably going to happen. I feel like that's how it's going to go. You know, I think it's just been so successful, you know, that I think they probably will continue it. I mean, money talks, you know. That's why I'm excited. Plus, it got great reviews, so I'm not really that worried, honestly. I think that they are going to continue it. I am excited because, spoiler alert, basically, apparently the next film, what they said it was going to be about, was basically it was going to take place, the whole film was going to take place in the nightmare scenario. The nightmare future where basically it's a ragtag team of Batman, The Flash, Cyborg, Deathstroke, Mara, and Jared Leto's Joker, where they are basically trying to figure out a way how to go back in time and prevent this entire situation from happening, where Darkseid came, took over the Earth, and now Superman is evil. So apparently that was like the synopsis for the next film. So I'm holding out hope. I have a good feeling about it, you know. I just feel it's been so successful. It would be insane for them not to continue it, you know. So I have hope, honestly. No pun intended. I really do. I have hope. So I'm excited. I'm calling it. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. So that ought to be cool. But now that we are done with that, let us... Oh, well, I guess I can talk about one more thing. The Suicide Squad trailer looks really good, by the way. Looks absolutely hilarious. It just looks like a pure James Gunn film. You know? It looks great. Like, it looks fantastic. Like, honestly. It just looks fucking awesome. Awesome! So I'm really excited, honestly. So, yeah, that looks great. It looks like Starro is going to be the main villain of it, which is really exciting. Because he was, you know, Starro was the first Justice League villain. I mean, this is the Suicide Squad, obviously, but Starro was, you know, famously in the first edition of Justice League. But now that we're done with this, let's move on to some questions. So, I also want to thank everyone for helping me break 41,000 subscribers. Alrighty, let's see. Okay. Who's my most accurate celebrity impression? I don't know, honestly. Maybe Arnold?
Yeah. Go. Run! No! Get to the chopper! Get down. Ice that guy. Cone the phrase. I'm the party pooper. What else? Stick around. If it bleeds, we can kill it. Billy! No! I'll be back. I'll be back. I'll be back. Yeah. Hasta la vista, baby.
That's probably Arnold. It's probably Arnold. That's what I'd say is probably my most accurate one, I guess.
The Terminator.
Okay. A cup half full or a cup half empty? Are you a cup half full person or half empty? I don't even own a cup, so I can't really. I don't even have a cup. No, I'm more of a half full guy, you know? He hadn't done ASMR. I don't know, probably been like an archaeologist. Some history profession. Favorite book? What's my favorite book? Book. What's a book? I haven't heard of a book. No, I don't know, man. I haven't read books in a while. I actually don't know. I really don't know. I can't even remember. I haven't read many books. Did I have a nickname? Yeah, I was Sketch, because I used to draw a lot. Everybody would call me Sketch. So, how do I get ideas for my scripts? I don't use scripts. I do everything improv. Like 95% of all the stuff I've done is just improv. You know? I don't use them. Not because I don't want them. Some people give me scripts. I read them off. It's just, I like doing things improv because I feel like I can just kind of do the same quality of audio just doing improv instead of writing a script, you know? Like, I feel like it's a waste of time, basically, you know? Favorite anime? My Hero Academia, and I do have a Discord. So, yeah. Will you make a playlist to make it? Yeah, I've been waiting to do it for a while now, so I'll be doing a playlist of all the stuff lately. You know. Okay, hey, I also need advice on something. Lots of long stories. So since a long time, I've questioned my sexuality. Well, my mom is Christian and homophobic. I do have a cousin who I'm close with, and she's a lesbian, so my mom is like, I guess, taking it out on me, because she asked last time if I like girls. And I was like, I don't know. And I'm not sure. And so she's acting like I'm saying yes, like I'm still confused, like it's hard to explain. And now it's kind of sad and disappointing because she didn't believe me when I was told her about how I was basically touched by a family member, and she thinks I did it for attention, and it sucks to know I'm not being supported by my own mom, and I may not love her, but I don't think it can be the same if this is how she feels about me. Holy fuck. Holy shiz. First of all, I feel horrible for you. And your mom thinks your cousin is putting ideas into your... Okay. I mean, I just have, personally, I'm not an expert, but, if you need therapy, I'd talk to a therapist, obviously, for just everything in general, because I'm not a doctor, but I'd try and have a nice, serious sit-down with her. Sorry, squeaky chair. Tell her the truth, everything, and whatnot. You gotta tell her the truth, obviously. So I'd sit down, talk to her, tell her everything, and be like, I'm being dead serious. Just basically give it to her straight. All of this happened, this is who I am, it's what I like, who I like, So, just do that. And just be, straightforward and honest, and, be like, no, I'm not lying. Somebody did this to me. Sit down and be a mom. Your child, your kid is telling you all of this important stuff. You need to listen. Just basically tell her the truth, really. But I don't know if it can be the same. I get that, It's the unfortunate part about a lot of families and stuff, is stuff like this happens. But I'd talk to a therapist. If your family member did that, I'd obviously, probably, go to the police or talk to someone about it, I'd be honest, and just tell her, the truth, and be like, no, I'm not lying. Nobody's putting ideas in my head. Listen to me, Just be straightforward and, stern, not rude, but, hold your ground. That's what I'd, Okay. Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Yeah, I watched one episode. I'm trying to put together my reaction to it. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what people do to make reaction videos to shows. I'm new to it, so I don't really know how to do it. I watched the whole thing and recorded my reaction, so I'll try and figure something out. Opinion on pickles. I like them. I actually had some last night. I had bread and butter pickles. Those are my favorite. Favorite musician. Oh, wow. That's a... Whoa. Wow. I don't know, honestly. That's a good one. Frank Sinatra. I'd probably say him. If that is a musician, if that counts. I love him. I listen to all of his songs. I got vinyls of him. He's great. He's one of my favorite. More of a gamer or weeb? More of a gamer, I'd say. Do I like frogs? I do. I really do. I love frogs, quite frankly. They are some of my favorite animals, honestly. If soap falls, does it dirty the soap or is the floor clean? Whoa. That's, No, it dirties the soap. Yeah, like, I mean, it might clean it a bit, but no, like, yeah, it dirties the soap. One of my hobbies, I like hunting, fishing, gaming, I love, exercising. I like to exercise a lot. So, yeah. How old am I? I am 20. I will be 21 in like a week. Like a little over a week, I'll be 21. Advice on being scared of needles. Like getting like shots. I'm personally like, cause I've told many times, like I've been, in the hospital a lot. So like me, I'm always in the hospital. So I've gotten used to them like taking blood samples, putting in IVs. So for me, it's like I don't even notice it. Like you can literally get the biggest needle, stab it into my arm. It's nothing. It's just nothing to me. Like I'm used to it. Like I've had far worse pain than a needle, but I've gotten used to it. Like I said one time, like I literally was like, I had been pricked so many times with a needle in my arms. I had been poked like 10 times in both of my arms to the point where nobody could put an IV in. So they had to call it vascular. And some woman brought an ultrasound machine, like they use for pregnant women. And they put it on my arm to see a needle, or see a vein where they could put a needle through. That's how bad it was. They had to get literally an ultrasound machine to do it. I saw it in real time when she put it in, and it was actually kind of interesting. But just think about happy thoughts. Don't worry about it. It'll be over quicker than you think, okay? So don't worry about it. You'll be fine. But that has been the Knights of Lucky podcast. Thank you for listening. Later today, I will be posting a Winter Soldier audio and if I have enough material, I will do a blooper reel. So, yeah. That has been the Knights of Lucky podcast. Take care, stay safe, and eat sandwiches, because sandwiches are good. Eat